Well, it's embarrassing to be here. This is Australia's moment, and I'm equally honoured to be asked by Andrew. Actually, I'm pissed off to be asked by Andrew to do this. It's much too early. I don't know what you say after the passion of this guy that I'd heard about and met last night, only to say that he is the worst taste in wine that I've ever met, which is why both of us are a little groggy this morning. Obviously, this needs to be done. I've been coming to this country for 30 years more, and I've played in about 42 towns in this country, so whatever you got up to in that bus, been there, done that. On the bus and off it as well. It's the problem that you have here is clearly one that I've encountered in other places, but it isn't insurmountable in this huge country of potential. You guys haven't even begun, and you're beginning to deal with a problem that's been festering, but can be resolved and needs to be resolved if the potential of this country is to be genuinely realized. And I don't mean that in any emotional sense or cultural sense. I mean it in an economic sense. But it hinges on the cultural and the emotional. I don't see how you become one with yourselves when you exile from yourself an entire part of your nation. Now, millions of Irish people were welcomed here by you people. My great mate, who's involved with me in one of these mad projects that I get going, like Forrest down here, wherever he is called John Maguire, and I, for a moment, got a shock that he changed when John got up and started speaking to us earlier this morning. But when the Irish came here, and there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, you did that great trick that the Americans seem to get. You were able, by force of poverty, to conjure up a new idea of the self. And that's the key issue here, to be exiled from the self, which is what has happened, I believe, to the Aboriginal peoples of this country. They were forced to be exiled from themselves, and that must stop. And what you and Andrew and this Generation One idea is to do is to pull them back into themselves, because you've acknowledged them as being, and welcome them as you welcome the Irish into your society, or the Yugoslavians, or the Brits, or the Germans, or the world, like you did. Now, I'm a product of immigrants. My immediate grandparents were Belgian Catholic, German Protestant, English Jewish, and Irish nothing. I got the Irish nothing. And the other thing that I deeply regret is that I didn't come up with the names April, May, June, and July for my children, which would have made things a lot easier. In Africa, I'll speak to Africa because I know it well. Everyone here, Darrell has been saying that it's education, it's education. Ladies and gentlemen, education is the interface between tradition and modernity. It's how you negotiate the world we built. If you don't get into that, you don't get the key that allows you access to our world while maintaining your own. And that's, I think, the essence of what this does. In the wake of Live 8, which again Australia contributed to so magnificently as they did Live Aid and Oz for Australia, Oz for Africa, and all those great things that we were both involved in together. In the wake of Live 8 and the Gleneagles G8, 44 million children went to school. Now just imagine double the population of Australia going to school within a one-year period. Can you try and envision the explosion of human potential, human dynamism, creativity, productivity, intellectualism injected into the world economy? And it seems to me, and I said this to Andrew last night, it seems to me that when I first saw 30 million people starving to death, dying of want, in a world of surplus back in 1984, I said on the radio that to die of want in a world of surplus is not only intellectually absurd, it is morally repulsive. Well, let's add economically illiterate to that. Because Australia sucks in from the world controlled immigration with skills. You also need people to pump in what the Mexicans do to the American economy, the SME skills, people like the Australian people who are just prepared to come and have a go. Have a go. But you've removed from your society of having a go 500,000 of your own. That is absurd. It's economically stupid. And just like those 44 million African children will be a massive driving force in the world economy, so your own Aboriginal people and these people and their families over here require to be allowed in. The access point is education. Of course, what it is being able to take what you're capable of doing, which is less than some and more than others, and extend it out. Well, that's what Twiggy is doing. And he's roped you guys in. And for that same emptiness that's at the core of all sort of human activity, this kind of works. Because you can take the great emptiness of your land and fill it with possibility. You can take those that you've not deracinated, but deculturalized, that you've made exiles from themselves, and in doing so you've exiled Australia from itself. That must stop. Because that emptiness that is not only the physical center of your country, but at the spiritual core of yourselves, will only be filled when this is done. Now, what gets me going is a quote from Goethe, the great German poet, and I always sort of end things by quoting him, if only to remind myself. And it bears and it goes to this, what you're about to embark on today, Andrew's call to action, his demand from the political classes, his insistence upon the business classes, and his request to the people of Australia. Goethe says, whatever you can do, or dream you can, begin it. Boldness has genius, power, and magic in it. Well done, Andrew. Well done, Generation One.